Hi, Kwas is with you, and this is a short retelling of the movie The Maker. The movie begins with the history of robotics. Over time, robots became ubiquitous assistants to mankind, pumping up their brains and appearance. They were called imitators. Although artificial intelligence can't compare to natural stupidity, at a certain point the machines brought about a huge apocalypse. There was a nuclear explosion in Los Angeles. After that, brave warriors declared a boycott of robots and began to methodically destroy them, having built a huge orbital object named Nomad for this purpose. In New Asia, unlike the West, they began to mass-produce artificial humans who were indistinguishable from the real ones and worked around the clock in 2 shifts. In 2065, an American paratrooper lands on one of the islands of Southeast Asia. The brave soldiers are quickly captured by local robot militia and taken to the leaders of the resistance, pregnant Maya and her prosthetic husband Taylor, who lost half his limbs in a memorable explosion. The commanders order them to leave before the Nomad strikes back. The spouses themselves are delayed. Maya overhears the conversation and learns that Taylor is a double agent sent to approach Nirmat, the main leader of the resistance. Regardless of Taylor's excuses, Maya leaves her husband and takes a boat away from shore. Unable to convince her superiors to wait, the double agent watches as the orbital station strikes the woman. 5 years later, Taylor is still plagued by nightmares about what happened. He visits a psychiatrist in his spare time as he works as a janitor in the ruins of destroyed Los Angeles, collecting robot remains for disposal. One day, his former superiors, General and Colonel Howell, visit him. The warriors have discovered a sacred Nirmata base where a new super weapon called Alpha has been created that can destroy Nomad. And that base is right where Taylor works. So they try to talk him into going on this mission by showing him a videotape of Maya surviving and promising to keep her alive. Colonel Howell himself is personally leading this mission. The brave Marines land in the jungle, disregarding the genetic memory of the ancestors who fought here 100 years ago. On the way to the laboratory, the landing party discovers that a village is in its place. A generation has changed, but wars threaten the civilians seeking entrance. Before any blood can be spilled, Taylor discovers a passage to the dungeon. Inside, the soldiers have no mercy on the unarmed staff, all in the name of peace, goodness, and justice. As the squad approaches the final bunker, they receive a warning. The local robot cops are closing in, and they are attacked from above. The assault squads burst into the target compartment with fire, suffered personnel losses, and exhausted their ammunition supply. Behind the massive door, Taylor discovered a secret weapon, a robot child. This was unusual, as all robots were created by adults. His attention was drawn by the appearance of a scientist. Firing a shot at the soldier, the woman ordered the girl to find Nirmata. The girl made her way outside through the escape hatch. The American paratroopers began evacuating, but Howell went after Taylor, who discovered the weapon. Taylor himself got out with the girl when Nirmat struck. The troopers' helicopter flew into the air. At altitude, the troopers spotted an attached mine. It exploded, forcing the helicopter to make an emergency landing. A larger explosion followed. Nomad said hello from orbit. The robot girl watched the blossoming fire flower from afar. Taylor woke up on the bank of a river. Next to her was the gun girl. Ignoring her, the soldier walked through a thicket of corn, bumping into a wounded comrade named Shipley. Unable to establish radio contact with the team, Taylor dragged the wounded man to the nearest local farmer's house. The girl followed them and went into the house with them and turned on the cartoon TV. Taylor turned off the TV to reflect. However, the robot, using its cybernetic power and built-in Wi-Fi, turned the device back on, forcing the man to pull the power cord. Colonel Howell appears on the line. As the officer tries to speak, the local police surround him. Suddenly, a robot farmer enters the house. Upon seeing the girl, he admires this unique creature and promises to destroy the American. Taylor acts faster, like a real Han Solo, and gives the first shot. While the cops have no time to orient themselves from the sound of the shot, the soldier asks the girl if she can take him to Maya. The girl informs him that Maya is at a place called Diandan. The robot cops surround the house and start opening fire. Taylor takes the wounded comrade and the girl in a pickup truck that is parked in the garage. Suddenly, a grenade with a very long delay time explodes in the garage. A local dog manages to carry it back to the cops. The girl folds her hands in a prayer gesture and starts the pickup truck, and Taylor rushes forward. At an intersection, however, the vehicle begins to collide, and the injured Shipley dies. Taylor makes the decision to find his handler, who is a double agent in the town of Drew. He covers the baby with a cap and gives her the name Alfie. Together, they try to ask passing farmers to pick them up off the road. Colonel Howell and his subordinate McBride are met by a police van. Together, they attack the convoy, seize weapons, and steal the van. Along the way, they come across a pickup truck with a dead body belonging to Shipley. To discover Taylor's whereabouts, the colonel used consciousness transfer technology to download Shipley's mind into a robot. The hitchhikers are stopped at a roadblock, but Alfie cuts the power to the area thanks to his abilities, allowing them to get through. They release the hostages and take a bus to the city, discussing life, death, and other things. They soon arrive in the city, where notices are already posted about them being wanted. A passerby happens to recognize them and tells them where they need to go. Taylor arrives at an Asian robot assembly factory. Asian manufacturing plants are still relevant in the future. There he meets Drew and his imitator friend Cami, who is very nice to Alfie. When asked what the girl wants, she replies, "Freedom for robots." However, there is no such freedom in the fridge, so she has to limit herself to ice cream. After looking at Alfie, Drew concludes that the girl is a unique product, and as she grows, she will gain more and more power. While the former comrades are discussing their further actions, a bomb is delivered to Cami's apartment under the guise of an ice cream delivery. Cami dies, and then a group of policemen burst into the apartment, and Alfie finds herself in their crosshairs. The cops intend to kill the girl, but then Taylor appears and a firefight begins, where he confidently eliminates the mechanical opponents. Seeing that reinforcements are about to arrive, they need to leave immediately. Drew does not have time to say goodbye to his girlfriend, and then suddenly, 2 members of the police squad are killed by gunfire. Underneath the helmets, Howell and McBride find themselves taking Cami's head to find out what she knows. Taylor, Drew, and Alfie head for the mountains, following a signal from a wedding ring that was lost long ago. However, the woman whose ring was found is not there. A frustrated Taylor asks Alfie to tell him where Nirmata's hideout is. At this time, the house is attacked by an aircraft called in by Howell. The drone kills Drew. Taylor goes down to the river, where he is surrounded by rebels under Haroon's command. They capture the girl and disarm one of the soldiers. In his unconsciousness, Taylor remembers how he met Maya. Coming to his senses, he finds himself without prosthetics in a darkened hold chamber. Even the violent storm last night didn't wake him up. Haroon reveals that after her father died, Maya became Nirmata. She was the one who created Alfie. The imitator also states that the nuclear explosion in Los Angeles was a human mistake, not a terrorist act by robots. The mechanical creatures wished for a peaceful existence. Haroon is called to the deck while Nomad attacks another base. Alfie goes down to the hold to talk to Taylor. He tells her that he loves Alfie's mother and hopes for her forgiveness. Haroon intends to kill the captive, but the girl helps him free himself. Taylor puts on her prosthetics and jumps overboard, catching the bottom of the flying boat. The craft reaches a dock near the base where the bombing raid took place. In the evening, Taylor moves cautiously among the sleeping or charging rebels to find Alfie. She sees Alfie sleeping on Haroon's chest. The two of them plan to leave by boat, but then an alarm bell sounds. An army of Americans is attacking the village. The rebels prepare to defend themselves, hiding women and children, but American super tanks show up. The military advances, sparing no ammunition and disregarding indirect losses. The insurgents' resistance manifests itself in shooting infantry and throwing mines towards the armored vehicles. They manage to blow up one tank, thanks to Monkey's luck and ingenuity. When the targeting systems are aimed at the gunners, they scatter. One robot notices women and children nearby and turns around to avoid being hit by their blast. The commander of the attack, Colonel Howell, orders the launch of the Kamikaze robots, upright bombs whose sole purpose is to reach enemy positions before the detonator goes off. The first robot aims to run across the wooden bridge, ignoring the rebels' shots and their attempts to stop him. Its target is in the rear, where innocent locals are hiding. At this point, Howell launches another kamikaze robot. At this time, Alfie, feeling guilty about what is happening, runs away from Taylor and blocks the robot's path. He kneels down in front of her, placing her palm on its body, and the girl manages to turn off the timer. The colonel sends McBride to deal with the situation. Sneaking up in the smoke, McBride injures Alfie. At this time, Taylor, who has climbed the bridge from the water, shoots McBride back. After McBride falls from the shot, the soldier grabs the unconscious Alfie and runs away. When they reach Harun and the others, he informs them that the girl needs help. Taylor and Harun evacuate Alfie while the others provide them with cover. The American soldiers capture a wounded rebel. Using stealth and pretending to be her comrades, they try to learn that Harun has taken her to a Buddhist temple. They then mercilessly kill Harun's captive. During the journey to the temple, Harun confesses to Taylor that the Alpha is based on a copy of their unborn child's consciousness. Maya scans the fetus in the womb. Upon arriving in the village the next morning, Taylor goes up to the temple and asks the monk if this is the place to find Dianden. The monk replies that Dianden translates to paradise. Inside, the man realizes that his wife is in a coma. Due to the limitations of the program, the imitators are unable to disable Nirmata's life support system or bring her back to life. Alfie, lying on her mother's shoulder, begs Taylor to put her out of her misery and send her to heaven. Tears in his eyes, the man makes his decision. At this time, a nomad approaches the temple with his air force. The soldiers attack the village, and Colonel Howell goes after the girl. Threatening her with a gun, she emulates Nirmata's vanishing consciousness when Harun enters the scene. He shoots the colonel and secures the bomb on his back, but the arriving soldiers shoot him. The detonator starts counting down as Alfie tries to stop it with his own powers. The soldiers take aim at her, causing Taylor to grab the girl, disrupting her concentration. Without her, the bomb on Howell's back explodes, destroying the attackers. Taking the flash drive with Maya's consciousness, Taylor leaves with the child. In the village, they are caught by soldiers and placed on different airplanes. They fly away while the nomads, behind them, wipe the village to dust for humanitarian and democratic purposes. In Los Angeles, the general expresses his gratitude to Taylor for his loyal service and suggests that he perform a merciful assassination of Alfie. If Taylor fails to complete the task, Alfie's death will be a long and agonizing one. With a heavy heart, Taylor agrees to the general's offer. He approaches the girl with tears in his eyes and says a few words before pulling the trigger. Alfie's vital signs come to an abrupt halt. Once the operation is over, Taylor requests permission to visit the process of destroying Alfie's body, to which the general agrees. However, along the way, it becomes clear that Taylor has given the girl a command to shut down for a period of time. Alfie wakes up and turns off a car with soldiers that follows them. Together, they head to the airport where, thanks to Alfie's powers, they make their way aboard a shuttle bound for the moon. The general orders all planes to return to the airfield, but Alfie, taking control, steers the shuttle straight to Nomad. After an emergency landing, they release the passengers and await the assault. As the soldiers make their way into the cabin, Taylor straps Alpha in and puts on a spacesuit. He opens the outer door, and along with the soldiers, all the air is sucked outward, making them experience an endless journey through space for the rest of their lives. The general orders an attack on all rebel bases. On the Nomad ship, the crew evacuates. Taking advantage of the absence of people, Taylor sends Alfie to the control center to cut power to the stations, while he himself moves along the outer hull to the missile launch system to mine it. It is at this point that the bombing begins. After placing the mine, Taylor tells Alpha over the radio that they have 10 minutes to get to the escape pod. The girl runs back, encountering an artificial intelligence research center on the way, where she finds a robot that looks like Maya among other imitators. She drags it into the garden to stick a flash drive with her consciousness, but the robot shows no signs of waking up. Leaving the find to Taylor, Alfie runs to him as he is running out of oxygen. She drags him to the escape bay, where his helmet can be removed, and prepares an escape pod. Meanwhile, power is restored to the station and the General launches an octopus security bot, preventing Taylor from reaching the capsule. Alfie disables the bot with his mind, while missiles hurtling at low altitude approach ground targets. However, the hatch gets stuck, and the first charge explodes in sequence, causing a chain reaction of explosions. Taylor says goodbye to Alfie through the safety glass, then goes into the garden, where she sees the imitator Maya. They run towards each other and kiss. The debris of the station falls to the ground, leaving no effect on nature or the atmosphere. Alfie's capsule lands somewhere on their homeworld. As she climbs out of it, she looks out at the rain of fire and the happy celebration of the mechanical people who have been freed from their oppressor. The girl smiles through her tears, and that's how the movie ends.